Greetings! So you may always think about this when you actually use vectors and unit vectors and when they actually give you questions like this. Like, they may ask you because when you actually do these with the Python and they do this in problems, you may see that we have a vector that has a magnitude of 2 or, and then they have a unit vector of 1. So it's not going to be like 2 ready to them. It's going to be like 1 because you use like kind of this large scale. So that's going to be, usually when you actually see the vectors they give you like that, the magnitude is going to be greater than the unit vector. So here's kind of the problem. We have this statement saying a vector A is always longer than its unit vector, which is than its unit vector. I think I have wrote that twice. And that's a sample of the unit vector. So is this true or false? Now this comes the question for us. Now as you can see, this is usually what we get. We have a vector of magnitude of vector A being 2, and then since they use 2, for example, as like 1 unit of a vector, the unit vector of A is going to be 1. So in that situation, that's going to be true, yes. But here comes the problem. We have these kind of vectors that we only have the hat of a vector, or we're going to have a little and then a hat. For example, the magnitude of a vector that has a hat is 0 because we don't have really anything is stretched out, so we don't even have a magnitude to begin with. Or for example, if you have a little and then the hat, maybe we have 0.2, 0.3, and we have those magnitudes as well. But at any case, the unit vector for both of them, even though they are having a magnitude of less than a 1, but since we use unit vectors, it's going to still be 1. So if you use equations of getting the unit vectors, stuff like that, because you have to get the magnitude of the vector divided by the whatever vector that has to get the unit vector. Unfortunately, you're gonna still get 1 because whatever scale they gave you, they're gonna give you 1 per unit vector. So whatever you use a vector, you're gonna still get 1 to begin with. If you get the 0 as a magnitude, you're still gonna get 1 as a unit vector. So that is false, because here's the thing: if the magnitude of the vector, let's say magnitude of vector A, is greater than or equal to 1, that might actually come true, because although even if you have a magnitude of vector A and have 1, the unit vector is going to be 1 anyway, so that we have the equals as well. So it's either magnitude of if greater or equals to 1, you're going to get equal to the unit vector of 1 or greater than that. But if you have a less than 1 for your magnitude of vector A, since I'll also tell you that we cannot have a vector of magnitude, like a vector have negative, so it's between 1 and 0, because vectors are never negative. So at that case, that statement becomes false, because no matter if you have less than a 1 for your magnitude, you're going to still have 1 unit vector. So hopefully you guys understand how you can tackle this problem. It's a false statement. They're going to like give you this kind of, we call it, maybe the professor gives a trick question. My professor doesn't. He actually worked with us this one, so that's how I know it's false. But just know that not all unit vectors are going to be less than the magnitude of a vector. There are the possibilities of these on the left, that you have a magnitude of the vector being less than the unit vector. Or you have even equals. If you have 1 and 1, it's going to be equals that unit vector. So hopefully you guys learned something new. If you have any question about vectors, tell us, and maybe you can work on it even better to understand ourselves with the vector.